Well, hello there, and welcome to this episode of the Terri Show. I want to start with a question, as I sometimes do. Are you someone who measures your worth sort of like you're only as good as your last huge accomplishment, right? Eye on the prize, just sticking to your goals, like head down, get the work done, go, 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 and then you'll celebrate. Right? When you get the big thing done, then you'll celebrate. Does any of that sound familiar? Well, if it does, then this episode of the Terri Show you are going to love, because it is all about celebrating the small accomplishments, right? Small wins, and how to do it and the science behind it. Because it's not just a nice thing to do. It is actually scientifically backed that there is something really healthy and productive about doing it. So before we get into it, if you happen to be new to my YouTube channel, well, hello and welcome. Please introduce yourself in the comments, because we're a very friendly group of people. Also, make sure that you subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you get notified when we roll out new videos every Tuesday and every Thursday. And I wouldn't want you to miss a thing, because I do all this content for you. Okay, so that's my pitch for signing up and hitting the subscribe button right now. And P.S., it costs you nothing. I also want to say thank you so much for all of the activity in this YouTube channel. It is a really active place. I read all of your comments and your questions, but I just appreciate that this is like our version of the virtual town square. Right? Like we get to kind of hang out together and contemplate the big questions in life and figure out how to be healthier and happier together. But I just want you to know that I appreciate you being here and all of your activity and your comments. It really warms my heart. As I like to say, some people watch Netflix on the weekend. Me, I dive into my comment section on YouTube. That's how it is. That's what I do. All right, let's move it on into this episode's content. So, why this whole entire episode is going to be a plug for why celebrating small wins should be a weekly ritual. Because we all know this, and trust me, why am I talking about this? That I've been so guilty of this in my life, of not doing it. Because in the hustle, right, and bustle of our daily lives, we often skip over our small accomplishments. We're sort of rushing towards the next goal without pause, right? But according to research, and this is from institutions like Harvard, right? So this is like real, not like soft science. This is real science. And insights from Psychology Today, because there was an article that I read in there as well, that pause, right? The act of celebrating, even the teeniest victory, this can have a big impact on our mental health, motivation, and our long-term success. So let's talk about the power of small wins. Like why does it matter, right? What is this? So the concept, let's just start there, of small wins is super simple. It's breaking down larger goals into manageable steps and recognizing progress along the way. It's interesting. With my therapy clients for decades, I've always said the same thing, that when we're tackling big things, it's important that we bring it all down to the next right action, right? We celebrate the thing we accomplished, but then we move into the next right action rather than trying to chunk off this big, huge thing. It's getting it into bite-size, digestible amounts of what it is that we're doing. Because if we only look at the macro, it's too much, no matter what it is that you're doing. So Harvard Summer School explains that the small victories, whether it's completing a chapter, sending a long delayed email, sometimes it's just having a conversation that you really need to have but you've been putting off, or just showing up for something, whether it's getting back on the meditation wagon, getting back to the gym, or walking, or whatever it is that you've been wanting to do. These serve as positive reinforcement. So that's what we're doing when we're stopping to be like, good job. This is positive reinforcement. It's like fuel. So what happens is these small wins, acknowledging them, they build momentum, right? What do they do inside of us? They spark motivation. Because again, it can be very demotivating if we're looking at a massive, big, fat goal that just seems overwhelming. So these smaller wins, they strengthen the sense of purpose. that we have. Like, why are we doing the thing that we're doing? And I feel this way in writing the book that I'm writing right now, which I'm handing in at the end of the summer, beginning of September. And it's like, I have to look at it as I have to celebrate, for me, to keep going, because writing a book, if you've never done it, is such a slog. Like, it is such a long process. You think about it for years before you even do it. You research, like, oh my God, there's so much that has to happen before you even get into the writing. And even with the writing, the process, there's so much writing and rewriting. So anyway, I have to get excited about the fact that I outlined chapter 10. I know what's going in chapter 10. Then collecting all the things, what are going to be my resources from the things that I've taught or other things that I've done, right? It gives me the oomph to go to the next right action in that process, but I allow myself to feel good, right? Because, what they're saying in the Harvard study is that progress is motivation, right? So no matter how minor the step forward is, or how minor it may seem, because my therapy clients are always minimizing. They're like, it's not a big deal, or someone else wouldn't think it's a big deal. I'm like, it's not about someone else. It's about you. Because acknowledging that step provides this sense of sort of achievement, this sense of purpose, and it reinvigorates or re-enlivens our desire to do the thing that we're doing. Because really what we're talking about with celebrating these small wins is, how do we stay motivated to accomplish our goals? A lot of people don't. A lot of people lose motivation. If you're one of those people, don't feel bad. Start celebrating your small wins along the way. So let's talk about how to do it, right? Celebrating your everyday courage, your everyday miraculous crap that you do all the time, but you don't think about it that way, right? So the question is, what's one win that you had this week? So I want you to think about that right now. What's one win that you had this week? For me, I gave myself the challenge of doing an advanced workout with weights and multiple, a whole different thing. It was the trampoline, but it was also with weights and stuff. And it was 54 minutes. And I was like, you're going to do it. No stopping. Just do it. You can do it. I'm in good enough shape. I could do it. So anyway, I'm going to call that my win for this week. And I wonder what is your win? And then we move into celebrating every single one. Because you probably have more than one. And I certainly do too, especially if we are looking at small wins. We all have them, right? They don't have to be huge, flashy moments, right? But they're powerful, everyday acts of self-determination or self-leadership, we could look at it as, right? Which could be, I set a boundary without apologizing. That's major, major. I took a real lunch break instead of sort of powering through or eating while I'm standing up next to the refrigerator. I spoke up, even though I was nervous. I listened to what I needed and I honored it. Those are all wins that we would call them small wins, but you can see that setting a boundary without apologizing is not a small win. You know how hard that can be to do and how much it changes your life when you start doing it. Speaking up even though you're nervous, right? This is how we get away from being the silent sufferer and move into someone who has the ability to stand firm for ourselves. So these are big ones, right? So even though what we're really describing in any of those, these are micro moments of our lives, and they shape who we are becoming. Because when we take a minute to look at and celebrate the stuff that we're doing that is brave, it really adds to the well of goodwill inside of you, right? How you feel about yourself. And all of these micro moments and macro moments are absolutely worth celebrating. And by the way, if the idea of celebrating your progress resonates with you, this is exactly what we do every single week inside my membership, the Terri Cole membership. We share our wins, even the teeniest win, right? We support each other. We honor what's working. We share what's going on with us. I'll tell you more about that at the end, but just to know there's a space waiting for you, really, where we practice all the things that I teach you. It's a super healthy, super sacred, incredibly supportive community. Anyway, I'll tell you more about that later. But in the meantime, what does science actually say about this? So why was I saying it's not like a soft science? Well, Psychology Today explains that celebrating small wins triggers dopamine, right? So this is the brain's natural reward chemical. We all know it's a feel-good chemical in the brain. That dopamine hit doesn't just feel good, even though it does feel good. It actually reinforces the behavior. So boosting your motivation, boosting your confidence, and it's almost like creating more of this forward motion for what it is that you're doing, that you want to do, that you're wanting to accomplish in your life. And why I think it's so crucial that we celebrate the small wins is that, especially if I'm dealing with therapy clients who are depressed, who've been depressed, getting out of bed is a small win for someone who's been depressed and it's been hard to do it. Taking a shower, self-care in that way, which for someone who's been very depressed, that can seem impossible, is impossible on some days. It's so important that we recognize that, because it can help you crawl out of the pit of depression. These celebrations also help to combat stress and burnout, right? Build emotional resilience, which is what we're always trying to do, and shift focus from what's missing to what's working. Like, what is happening for you? Having always in the back of your mind, and this is just a separate note, things always work out for me. Imagine if this were an affirmation for you. I think it is. I say it a lot, even when things aren't working out. But for me, ultimately, I feel like they're going to. And there's something, again, there's something really positive about just being in that mindset. And celebrating small wins helps it be easier to be in that mindset of what is working rather than what is not working. And remember, you guys, we're always up against negativity bias. So it'll take 5 times more effort and energy to focus on the good stuff than it will the bad stuff. So we're always working at this deficit when it comes to positivity. So it's important that we know that, because we really do have to flex the muscle of focusing on the positive without bypassing. So don't misunderstand what I'm saying, because I'm obviously a psychotherapist for almost 30 years. I'm not thinking we should bypass, but I am positive that the frame through which or the lens that you view life has everything to do with how you experience life, which is why we're saying a celebratory lens for the small wins is super duper helpful. And again, it's so easy. And I want you to think about all the ways can you catch yourself? How do you talk, right? Where it's like, yes, I got this done, but so much more to go, right? And I have to stop myself, especially when I'm writing a book, from sort of qualifying the win. Like, just let the win be the win. I'm not going to forget that I need to still friggin' write the book and rewrite the book 7 times. Like, I will not forget that. But I don't feel like pointing it out is helpful, But a lot of times that is our default positioning. It's almost like I see with my husband, who's quite the workaholic. It's almost like he's afraid to get comfortable. You know what I mean? If I say, good for you, good job. He's like, yeah, and I still have those other 4 jobs to do. I'm like, okay. I'm just celebrating the one you just finished. Can we just do that for literally 5 seconds? Because even just a 5-second pause to recognize progress can change how you experience your day and yourself. A 5-second pause. I don't care how fancy you are, people. You got 5 seconds to celebrate. Yes, you definitely do. All right, so let's bring in the self-compassion piece. Because one of the biggest reasons that we don't celebrate our small wins, right? We are too quick to dismiss them because we say things like, it's not a big deal, or it should have been easier, or I didn't do enough, right? Or as I just said, there's so much more to do. Again, we don't need to sabotage, right? Self-compassion is such an important aspect And it's sort of this companion to celebration, we could look at it as, right? Because when we offer ourselves kindness instead of criticism, right? This is what we're doing. Replacing criticism with kindness, we become so much more resilient and less afraid to try again. Because you are resilient. I always say, you guys, I always tell you that, you're not that fragile, because you're literally actually not. But it can be hard. And I think that the world is hard enough. We don't need to be hard on ourselves. We deserve our own compassion. And this really does go hand in hand with celebrating, right? Celebrating your progress is not like self-indulgent. It's an act of respect for your effort, right? For your courage, for your growth, even if the outcome wasn't or isn't perfect. Because come on, you guys, with perfectionism, I've talked about this for ever and ever and ever, and so have many of you. There is no perfection, right? As we know, there really, really isn't. We're all just out here in these internet life streets doing the best that we can. That's all we can do. So let's now sort of move it into, how do these small wins shape our identity? Well, every time you take an action and you recognize that you've taken that action, you're putting deposits in the well of goodwill for the person that you want to become. Or maybe look at it like you're sort of casting a vote for the person that you want to become. Because there's something really powerful about being able to count on ourselves. The author of Atomic Habits, what's his name? James Clear, right? He puts it this way: every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. What a beautiful quote that is. And we are evolving. So part of, as much as it may seem like not a big deal, when you speak your truth, you become someone who values their voice, right? Who are we becoming? When you rest without guilt, for example, you become someone who honors their needs. When you set a boundary, you become someone who protects their peace. So your actions, and celebrating those courageous and brave actions, but I want you to see it as they're an integral part of becoming the person you want to be. And I think that we're always in a state of evolving, you guys. It's not to say there's something wrong with you. Now, there's not, but hopefully you will be ever evolving in this life. Because if you live long enough, how lucky are we that we get to? So small wins, I want you to think of them. They're not just signs of progress. They're basically proof of identity in motion. Like they're proof of your progress, your evolution, but in motion, right? Because you're actually taking action, which is really powerful. So how do you make it a habit, right? You don't need confetti, you don't need champagne. Just start small. Make it easy, right? Keep a running list of weekly wins in a journal, or do it on your phone. I love to use my notes app. Share one in our group each week if you end up joining the membership. We all do this. I love it. Celebrate others' wins just as much as your own, right? This is part of the Terri Cole membership I was mentioning before. Part of it is that it is a soft place to land in a hard world. And this world is pretty hard. So a safe and sacred place with people who are cheering you on is so important. So yes, you get to celebrate your wins without apology, but also you have all these other people celebrating your wins with actual happiness for you. You also can pair your reflection with a reward, right? So I had done a couple of months ago, I did a blog on, or a vlog or a video, whatever you call it, on these little treats. Right. So this is something that you can do when you're talking about your accomplishment, when you're celebrating your small wins. You can pair that reflection of the small win with some kind of small treat. It could just be a walk. It could be a cup of tea. You could do a happy dance. You could have a donut, whatever it is that would feel good for you. Because the moments of acknowledgement, they become this like muscle memory. It's like a muscle that you're flexing. Each time you notice a win, it gets easier to spot the next one. And it becomes more of a habit. So when you get down to it, the takeaway is the micro moments really are the big moments. The small achievements collectively come together to build the big achievements. This is just how it is. So much of life, right? It isn't about the peak experiences, as I love to say. It isn't about these big, loud milestones per se. It's about the quieter choices that we make every friggin' day. Honoring boundaries, speaking your truth, prioritizing rest, right? Returning to your intention again and again in this life. And these are the moments that really matter. So this week, I am inviting you to pause, to reflect, and to celebrate your wins, whatever they look like. And me and my whole group will be here cheering you on. If you are feeling like, if you're really wanting the space where your wins will actually get noticed inside the Terri Cole membership, right? We end every week, we will end every week with this reflection. Real talk, quiet celebrations. Again, not about being perfect, but it is about staying connected to who you are becoming and being witnessed in this process. So join us and start building a habit of honoring your progress. And you don't have to do it alone. And you don't have to do this life alone, this evolutionary process, this becoming a boundary boss and getting codependent and all the things that we do. Each month, you get 4 live sessions with me. So 2 of them are Ask Me Anything Q&A, 1 workshop, and 1 guest expert. So get more info and sign up at terricole.com/TCM. I would love to see you on the inside, and I hope that this episode of The Terri Cole Show really added value to your life, and I hope you have the most amazing week. And as always, take care of you.